My laptop sits open on Mr. Pierce's polished desk, the tiny green light beside my webcam still glowing. I'm showing him our quarterly sales numbers when his phone buzzes loudly. He glances at the screen and waves his hand toward the door. "Sorry, step out for a minute, will you? Something urgent downstairs." I grab my notebook and hurry out, leaving everything exactly where it sits. There's a delivery truck blocking the loading dock, and chaos in the lobby needs sorting. 30 minutes feels like forever, as I deal with confused drivers and missing invoices. When I finally make it back upstairs, Mr. Pierce is leaning back in his leather chair, scrolling through his phone with a satisfied smirk. "All sorted?" he asks without looking up. I nod, quickly gathering my things and shutting my laptop. The meeting feels complete, the presentation delivered successfully. Walking back to my desk, I replay our conversation about next quarter's goals. He seemed pleased with my work, even mentioned possible team expansions. Everything feels normal, routine even. I have no idea that my laptop just captured 30 minutes of audio that will change everything. The webcam kept recording while I was gone, quietly documenting a conversation that wasn't meant for my ears. The next morning, I'm organizing files on my desktop when I notice a video file I don't remember creating. It's labeled with yesterday's date and timestamp. Curious, I double-click it, expecting to see my presentation slides or maybe an accidental recording of my desk. Instead, I hear Mr. Pierce's voice, crystal clear through my headphones. "The raises came through," he's saying to someone on the phone. "Corporate approved every single request we submitted. Johnson, Williams, the whole team." My heart skips. Last week, he told us all that corporate had rejected our raise proposals due to budget constraints. He said we'd be lucky to avoid pay cuts this quarter. I lean closer to the screen, turning up the volume. His voice continues, casual and confident. "But here's the thing. They're never going to know. Those people downstairs are clueless about how this works." A pause, then laughter that makes my stomach churn. "They don't deserve the extra money anyway. I'm keeping it." My hands freeze on the keyboard. This isn't just office politics or tough business decisions. This is theft, pure and simple theft from every person on our team who's been working overtime, missing family dinners, and stressing about making rent while he promised better days ahead. I replay the recording 3 times, each listen making my chest tighter. His words echo in my mind. They don't deserve the extra money anyway. I think about Olivia in accounting, working 2 jobs to support her kids. Jake in marketing, who just moved in with roommates because his rent went up. Carmen in customer service, eating ramen for lunch every day to save money. We believed him when he said corporate was tightening budgets. We trusted his sympathetic face when he delivered the bad news. Some people even thanked him for fighting for us, believing his story about going to bat with upper management. The betrayal cuts deep, but anger burns hotter. I save the file to 3 different locations and email it to myself. Evidence this explosive doesn't stay on just one device. My hands shake slightly as I type, adrenaline mixing with rage. Part of me wants to storm into his office right now and demand answers. But I know better. This requires strategy, not emotion. I glance around the office at my colleagues, all of them working hard and hoping for better days. They deserve to know the truth. More than that, they deserve the money that's rightfully theirs. The money he's stolen from them while looking them in the eye and lying about corporate budget cuts. I can't focus on work for the rest of the morning. Every email feels pointless, every task meaningless, compared to the bomb sitting in my laptop. During lunch break, I text Olivia, Jake, and Carmen separately. "Can you meet me at Murphy's Cafe after work? Important." No details, but my tone must convey urgency because they all agree immediately. Murphy's Cafe sits across the street from our office building, a quiet spot where we sometimes grab coffee before big meetings. I arrive first, choosing a corner booth away from other customers. My laptop feels heavy in my bag, loaded with evidence that could destroy my boss's career and restore justice to my team. Olivia arrives looking worried, followed by Jake and Carmen. "What's going on?" Olivia asks, sliding into the booth. "You sounded really serious." I take a deep breath, pulling out my laptop and adjusting the screen so they can all see. "I need to show you something. But first, promise me you'll watch the whole thing before saying anything." They exchange glances but nod. I hit play, and Mr. Pierce's voice fills our small space through the laptop speakers. As the words sink in, the raises, the lies, the theft, I watch their faces change from confusion to shock to pure outrage. Carmen actually gasps out loud when he says we don't deserve the money. "He's stealing from us," Jake whispers, his face flushed with anger. "This whole time, he's been lying to our faces." Olivia covers her mouth with her hand, eyes wide with disbelief. Carmen just stares at the laptop screen even though the recording has finished playing. "How did you get this?" Olivia asks, her voice barely audible. I explain about leaving my laptop running, the accidental recording, finding the file. As I talk, their expressions shift from shock to determination. These are good people who work hard and deserve better. They deserve the truth. "We have to report him," Carmen says firmly. "This is fraud. He can't just steal our money and lie about it." Jake nods vigorously, already pulling out his phone. "Who do we call? HR? Corporate? The police?" Their immediate desire for justice matches my own, and I feel less alone carrying this secret. We spend the next hour planning our approach. HR seems like the logical first step, followed by corporate compliance if needed. We'll request a formal meeting, present the evidence professionally, and demand an investigation. The recording is clear, undeniable proof of wrongdoing. How can they ignore it? As we leave the cafe, I feel lighter somehow. This burden isn't mine alone anymore. We're a team, united by truth and the promise of justice. Tomorrow, we'll make our move. The next morning, Olivia schedules a meeting with Patricia Webb, our HR compliance officer. She's known for being thorough and fair, someone who takes workplace violations seriously. We request a private conference room for sensitive personnel matters, and she agrees to see us at 2 o'clock. I arrive early, laptop charged and recording file ready. The others join me in conference room B, all of us dressed more formally than usual. This feels official, important. Patricia enters with a notepad and serious expression, immediately sensing the gravity of our request. "Thank you for meeting with us," I begin, my voice steadier than I expected. "We've discovered evidence of serious misconduct involving our direct supervisor." I explain the situation briefly, then play the recording. Patricia listens intently, taking notes and asking clarifying questions about dates and context. When the audio ends, she sits back in her chair, clearly troubled. "This is very serious," she says slowly. "If these allegations are true, we're looking at fraud, theft, and violation of multiple company policies." She promises to escalate immediately to corporate headquarters and conduct a full investigation. Walking out of that meeting, we feel victorious. The wheels of justice are finally turning. Patricia seemed genuinely outraged by what she heard, and her promise to involve corporate gives us confidence that real change is coming. For 3 days, nothing happens. No announcements, no investigations, no changes. Mr. Pierce strolls around the office with his usual confidence, making small talk and cracking jokes as if the world hasn't shifted beneath his feet. During our weekly team meeting, he even mentions budget constraints again, keeping up the charade about our denied raises. I try to stay patient, remembering that corporate investigations take time. But watching him lie so easily to our faces makes my blood boil. Olivia catches my eye during the meeting and slightly shakes her head, warning me to stay calm. She's right, but self-control has never been harder. Friday afternoon, Patricia calls me into her office. My heart races, expecting news about the investigation. Instead, she looks uncomfortable, avoiding direct eye contact. "I've heard back from corporate," she begins carefully. "They're reviewing the situation, but they need more time to determine the appropriate response." Something in her tone sets off alarm bells. "More time for what?" I ask. "We have a clear recording of him admitting to theft." Patricia shifts in her chair, clearly uncomfortable. "These things are complicated. There are protocols to follow, legal considerations. We have to be thorough." Her words sound rehearsed, like someone coached her on what to say. My victory feeling evaporates. Monday morning brings devastating news. Mr. Pierce calls an all-hands meeting to announce organizational restructuring for improved efficiency. As he speaks, my stomach drops. Olivia is being transferred to a different department with reduced responsibilities. Jake's position is being eliminated due to budget constraints. Carmen is moved to night shift customer service. The message is crystal clear. Challenge me and face consequences. He never mentions our names directly or references the recording, but everyone in the room understands what's happening. These aren't random business decisions. They're targeted punishments designed to silence us. During the meeting, Mr. Pierce's eyes find mine briefly. There's no anger there, just cold calculation. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he's confident in his protection. Someone higher up is shielding him, making our evidence disappear into corporate bureaucracy. After the meeting, my three allies look shaken. Olivia approaches me quietly, her voice barely a whisper. I can't keep fighting this. I have kids to feed. Jake nods grimly, already updating his resume on his phone. Carmen just shakes her head sadly and walks away. In one morning, Mr. Pierce has destroyed our unity and isolated me completely. I'm alone now, but I'm not giving up. If anything, his retaliation proves we were right. People who have nothing to hide don't attack whistleblowers. Over the next week, the office atmosphere changes dramatically. People avoid eye contact with me. Conversations stop when I approach, and invitations to lunch suddenly dry up. Word has spread about what happened to Olivia, Jake, and Carmen. Everyone understands the unspoken rule: keep your head down or face consequences. I overhear whispered conversations about troublemakers and people who don't understand how business works. Some colleagues seem to believe Mr. Jake Pierce's narrative that the transfers were necessary cost-cutting measures. Others know better but choose silence over solidarity. The isolation stings more than I expected. During a coffee break, Miranda from payroll approaches me cautiously. She glances around nervously before speaking. You didn't hear this from me, she whispers, but word upstairs is that Pierce has someone protecting him, someone with real power. She won't say more, but her warning is clear. I'm fighting a battle I can't win. That evening, I sit in my apartment reviewing the recording for the 100th time. Mr. Pierce's voice still sounds just as guilty, his admission just as clear. The evidence hasn't changed, but the system protecting him seems unbreakable. Everyone tells me to let it go, move on, find another job if I'm unhappy. But I can't. This isn't just about money anymore, it's about principle. He's counting on my silence, betting that isolation and threats will break my resolve. The breaking point comes during our monthly budget review meeting. Mr. Pierce presents charts showing declining revenue and increased operational costs. He emphasizes the need for continued belt-tightening and warns that further pay cuts might be necessary if performance doesn't improve. Sitting there listening to his lies, knowing he's stolen our approved raises while threatening to cut our pay further, my anger reaches a boiling point. I want to stand up and expose him right there, play the recording for everyone to hear. My hands actually start reaching for my laptop before I catch myself. After the meeting, I stay behind while others file out dejectedly. Mr. Pierce gathers his papers with a satisfied expression, clearly pleased with his performance. When we're alone, he looks at me directly for the first time in weeks. Something you wanted to discuss? He asks with fake concern. I meet his gaze steadily. Just wondering when those budget constraints might ease up, I say carefully. He smiles coldly. Could be a long time. Depends on a lot of factors. Team cooperation, loyalty, people understanding their place. The threat isn't even subtle anymore. Walking back to my desk, I make a decision. The first approach failed because it went through internal channels he controls. Time for a different strategy, one that bypasses his protection entirely. That night, I research corporate escalation procedures and discover something interesting. The anonymous ethics hotline bypasses all local management and reports directly to the legal department at headquarters. No local filtering, no protective layers, just straight to corporate lawyers who take fraud allegations seriously. I also realize my first attempt was too narrow. One recording easily dismissed as out of context or misunderstood. This time, I need overwhelming evidence, multiple incidents, documented patterns, financial proof that can't be explained away. I need to build a case so airtight that no amount of protection can save him. Over the weekend, I create a detailed timeline of every suspicious decision Mr. Pierce has made in the past year. Late Friday departures during audit periods, expense reports submitted after standard deadlines, budget presentations with inconsistent numbers. Individually, these might seem normal. Together, they suggest a pattern of deception. I also start paying closer attention to his behavior, looking for opportunities to gather more evidence. If he's stealing our raises, he's probably stealing in other ways too. Greedy people rarely limit themselves to one scheme. My laptop becomes a valuable surveillance tool, and I get better at positioning it strategically during meetings. The key is patience. Instead of rushing to expose him again, I'll build an unshakable foundation of proof that destroys any doubt about his guilt. Monday morning, I volunteer to help with the quarterly vendor contract review, knowing it will involve budget discussions and expense approvals. Mr. Piers seems pleased by my initiative, probably interpreting it as submission after my colleague's transfers. He has no idea I'm gathering ammunition. During our vendor meeting, I position my laptop carefully on the conference table, webcam and microphone facing his direction. When he steps out to take a call from corporate, I make sure the recording continues. Through the open door, his voice carries clearly as he talks to someone about keeping expenses flexible and maintaining discretionary spending authority. The conversation reveals another layer of his deception. He's inflating vendor contracts to create slush funds for personal expenses. Travel costs that seem too high, consulting fees for services never delivered, office supply purchases that never arrive. He's not just stealing our raises, he's systematically looting company resources. After the meeting, I have 40 minutes of audio containing multiple admissions of financial impropriety. Combined with the original recording about our raises, I'm building a compelling case. But I need more. 1 or 2 recordings could still be dismissed as misunderstandings. I need overwhelming evidence that leaves no room for doubt. Over the next 2 weeks, I gather documentation methodically. Expense reports with altered amounts, budget discrepancies that don't add up, vendor invoices that seem suspicious. My breakthrough comes during a surprise call with his corporate contact. I've learned to recognize the ringtone of his personal phone versus his office line. When the personal phone rings during our budget meeting, I know it's important. I excuse myself to get financial reports from my desk, leaving my laptop open and recording. Through the glass wall, I watch him pace while talking, animated and confident. The audio quality is perfect when I review it later. He's bragging about his creative accounting methods and joking about keeping the worker bees happy with promises while the honey stays in the right hives. His contact laughs and mentions maintaining plausible deniability. This recording is devastating because it shows premeditation and conspiracy. It's not just one bad decision or misunderstanding. It's a deliberate scheme involving multiple people. The casual tone suggests this has been going on for years, not just recently. I now have 3 separate recordings spanning different topics: stolen raises, inflated expenses, and conspiracy with corporate contacts. Each piece strengthens the others, creating a pattern that can't be dismissed as coincidence or misinterpretation. The final piece I need is documentary evidence that ties the recordings to actual financial data. Numbers don't lie, and when combined with his own admissions, they'll make my case unbeatable. Using my access to budget reports and vendor contracts, I cross-reference every suspicious claim from the recordings with actual financial documents. The pattern becomes clear and damning. Every inflated expense he mentioned corresponds to actual payments in our system. Every creative accounting method he bragged about shows up in our books as legitimate business costs. I create a detailed spreadsheet mapping his audio admissions to specific transactions. The stolen raises total $847,000 across our entire team over the past 2 years. The inflated vendor contracts add another $230,000 in suspected fraud. The numbers are staggering, far beyond simple employee theft. Most importantly, I discover that his corporate contact is Luke Donnelly, the regional finance director who initially buried our HR complaint. The conspiracy reaches higher than I initially realized, which explains why our first attempt failed so completely. They've been protecting each other while systematically looting our regional office. My evidence file now contains audio recordings, financial documents, and a clear timeline showing how the fraud evolved over time. It's not just theft anymore, it's racketeering. Corporate legal won't be able to ignore this, especially with potential criminal liability involved. That evening, I prepare my submission for the Anonymous Ethics Hotline. Every document is organized, every recording is transcribed, Every claim is supported by evidence. This time, I'm not asking for internal investigation. I'm presenting a criminal case. Before submitting my evidence, I make multiple backup copies and store them in secure locations. This information is too valuable and dangerous to exist in only one place. I email encrypted files to my personal accounts, save copies to multiple USB drives, and even print hard copies of the most important documents. The Anonymous Ethics Submission Portal requires detailed information about the nature of the complaint, supporting evidence, and potential legal violations. I categorize the fraud under multiple headings: employee wage theft, expense account fraud, conspiracy to commit financial crimes, and violation of fiduciary duties. Each category has its own legal implications and triggers different corporate responses. My submission runs 47 pages, including transcripts, financial analysis, and supporting documentation. It's more like a prosecutor's case file than a simple employee complaint. I've learned from my first attempt that half measures don't work against protected individuals. This time, I'm providing evidence that corporate lawyers can take directly to law enforcement if needed. The portal confirms receipt and assigns a case number for tracking purposes. Unlike our HR complaint, this goes directly to corporate legal with automatic escalation protocols. No local management involvement, no opportunity for suppression or delay. The timer starts ticking the moment I hit submit. Now comes the hardest part: waiting. I have to continue working normally, attending meetings with Mr. Piers, pretending nothing has changed while knowing his world is about to collapse. 2 weeks pass in tense silence. I monitor the anonymous case tracking system daily, watching for status updates. The file shows under review, legal department, with no estimated timeline for resolution. Every day feels like a year as I watch Mr. Piers continue his charade of concerned leadership. During team meetings, he expresses sympathy for our financial struggles while privately hoarding the money meant to ease those very problems. The hypocrisy is unbearable, but I force myself to remain professional. Any change in my behavior might alert him to the storm approaching. Then, on a Wednesday morning, something shifts. Mr. Piers receives a call that clearly agitates him. He closes his office door, which he rarely does, and I can see him pacing while talking rapidly into his phone. His usual confidence seems shaken, replaced by nervous energy I've never witnessed before. Later that day, Luke Donnelly makes a surprise visit to our office. He rarely comes to our location, preferring to handle regional business remotely. He and Mr. Piers disappear into the conference room for over an hour, both looking increasingly uncomfortable as their conversation continues. My case tracker updates that evening. Investigation initiated, external audit scheduled. The corporate machine is finally moving, and the protected fortress around Mr. Piers is showing cracks. Justice is coming, and this time, there's no stopping it. The external audit team arrives Monday morning without advance notice to local management. 3 serious-looking professionals with laptops and briefcases set up in our largest conference room and immediately request access to all financial systems. Mr. Piers tries to maintain his composure, but I can see panic behind his forced smile. They call me in for a private interview Tuesday afternoon. The lead auditor, a woman named Rebecca Stone, reviews my case submission while asking detailed questions about the recordings and financial documents I provided. She's thorough and professional, treating my evidence with the seriousness it deserves. These are very serious allegations, she confirms. If substantiated, we're looking at significant criminal exposure for the company. She explains that corporate legal has already briefed law enforcement about potential criminal activity. This has escalated far beyond internal disciplinary action. During the interview, she plays portions of the recordings and asks me to verify their authenticity and context. My detailed notes about dates, times, and circumstances prove invaluable. She seems impressed by the thoroughness of my documentation and the clear chain of evidence I've maintained. As I leave the conference room, I notice Mr. Piers waiting nervously in the hallway. Our eyes meet briefly, and for the first time I see fear instead of arrogance. He knows his protection is crumbling, and there's nothing he can do to stop what's coming. Thursday morning brings the confrontation I've been anticipating for months. Rebecca Stone calls Mr. Piers into the conference room where her team has set up a formal interview area. I watch through the glass walls as they present evidence and play audio recordings. His reaction is exactly what I expected: denial, deflection, and attempts to discredit the evidence. He claims the recordings are taken out of context, that his words were misunderstood, that disgruntled employees are making false accusations. But when they present the financial documents showing exact correlations between his statements and suspicious transactions, his confidence wavers. The interview lasts 3 hours. I see him alternately arguing, pleading, and trying to shift blame to others. When they mention Luke Donnelly by name and reveal recordings of their conspiracy conversations, Mr. Piers's face goes pale. He realizes the scope of the investigation extends beyond just him. Corporate legal joins the meeting via video conference for the final hour. They inform him that law enforcement has been notified and that criminal charges are being considered. His employment is terminated immediately, effective without notice or severance. Security escorts him from the building within 30 minutes. Watching him walk out with a cardboard box of personal items, I feel no satisfaction or revenge. Just relief that the truth has finally emerged and justice is being served. The fear and intimidation are over. The afternoon after Mr. Piers's termination, corporate sends a company-wide email announcing an immediate audit of all payroll practices and a review of recent budget decisions. They promise to correct any identified irregularities and ensure all employees receive compensation they're entitled to under company policy. More importantly, they announce that our regional finance director, Luke Donnelly, has been placed on administrative leave pending investigation. The conspiracy is unraveling at multiple levels, validating my decision to escalate beyond local management. The protection network that seemed impenetrable just weeks ago is collapsing rapidly. Rebecca Stone meets with our entire team to explain what happens next. The investigation will continue for several more weeks as they examine financial records and interview additional witnesses. All affected employees will receive back pay for any wages unlawfully withheld, with interest and penalties as required by law. She specifically acknowledges my role in exposing the fraud, praising the quality of evidence I provided, and the courage required to pursue justice despite retaliation. Her words feel validating after months of isolation and doubt. Sometimes, doing the right thing requires standing alone, but the truth eventually emerges. That evening, I finally sleep peacefully for the first time in months. The weight of carrying this secret and fighting this battle alone has lifted. Justice is being served, and my colleagues will receive the money they've always deserved. By Friday, news of the investigation spreads throughout the company. Employees who previously avoided me now approach with questions, apologies, and expressions of gratitude. Many admit they suspected something was wrong but were too afraid to speak up. Others share stories of suspicious decisions and unexplained budget cuts they witnessed but couldn't prove. Olivia, Jake, and Carmen request transfers back to our department now that Mr. Piers is gone. Corporate approves all 3 requests immediately and apologizes for the retaliatory actions they suffered. The fear that kept people silent is replaced by relief and renewed trust in company leadership. The most surprising development comes when Miranda from payroll approaches me privately. She reveals that several other employees had gathered evidence about Mr. Piers's suspicious activities but were afraid to report it after seeing what happened to my allies. My persistence gave them courage to come forward with additional proof. Their evidence includes expense reports he tried to have them falsify, pressure to manipulate budget numbers, and threats when they questioned suspicious transactions. The mountain of evidence grows daily, as more people feel safe speaking truth to power. Corporate announces that a new regional manager will be hired from outside the company to ensure fresh leadership untainted by previous corruption. They also promise structural changes to prevent future fraud and protect whistleblowers from retaliation. The following Monday brings the news we've all been waiting for. Corporate has completed their initial investigation and confirmed systematic wage theft totaling over $1 million across multiple departments and time periods. Every employee affected will receive full back pay plus penalty payments as compensation for the delayed justice. My personal back pay amounts to $23,400 over 2 years, but the money feels secondary to the vindication. More important is knowing that Olivia can stop working her second job, Jake can move to a better apartment, and Carmen can finally afford proper meals instead of ramen noodles for lunch. The company also announces the creation of a new anonymous reporting system with direct access to corporate legal, bypassing all local management. They're implementing quarterly audits of all regional offices and mandatory ethics training for all supervisors. Real systemic change is happening because of our courage to speak up. Rebecca Stone schedules exit interviews with everyone involved in the case. She thanks me personally for the detailed evidence and professional handling of a difficult situation. She mentions that my case will be used as a training example for other investigators because of its thoroughness and clear documentation. That afternoon, I receive a call from corporate headquarters. The regional vice president wants to schedule a meeting to discuss my future with the company. Apparently, they're impressed by my integrity and investigative skills. The meeting with corporate leadership exceeds my expectations. They offer me a promotion to Regional Compliance Officer, a newly created position designed to prevent future fraud and protect employees who report wrongdoing. The role comes with significant authority, substantial pay increase, and direct reporting to corporate headquarters. We need people with your integrity and courage in leadership positions, the vice president explains. You've demonstrated that you'll do what's right, even when it's difficult and dangerous. That's exactly the kind of character we want protecting our employees and our company's reputation. The irony isn't lost on me. The boss who tried to destroy my career has inadvertently created my biggest professional opportunity. His attempts to silence me have resulted in a promotion that gives me power to prevent others from suffering similar injustices. I accept the position immediately. Not for the money or prestige, but for the chance to ensure no other employees face wage theft, retaliation, or cover-ups. My new role includes investigating fraud allegations, implementing prevention systems, and protecting whistleblowers from retaliation. My first assignment is reviewing all regional offices for similar schemes. If Mr. Piers and Luke Donnelly were operating this conspiracy in our location, other managers might be running similar frauds elsewhere. Corporate wants a comprehensive audit to root out systemic corruption. Word of my promotion spreads quickly through the office, generating mixed reactions. Most colleagues are genuinely happy for my success and grateful for my persistence in exposing the fraud. A few seem resentful, perhaps believing I somehow profited from causing trouble for management. The anonymous ethics hotline receives 3 new reports in the first week after my promotion announcement. Employees who previously felt powerless now see that the system can work when evidence is properly documented and reported through appropriate channels. My case has become proof that truth eventually prevails over corruption. Miranda from payroll stops by my new office to thank me personally. "You saved my job," she says simply. "I was going to quit because I couldn't keep covering up his lies. Now I can work with integrity again." Her words mean more than any corporate recognition or salary increase. Over the weekend, I clean out my old desk and set up my new office. The space is larger, with windows overlooking the city and professional furniture that reflects my new authority. But the most important item I place on my desk is a small recording device, a reminder that truth-telling sometimes requires courage and preparation. As I hang my new nameplate on the door, I think about how dramatically life can change when someone refuses to accept injustice. 6 months ago, I was just another employee hoping for a raise. Today, I'm a corporate officer with power to protect others from the fraud I experienced. My first month in the new role brings immediate results. The regional audit uncovers similar schemes in 3 other offices, resulting in additional terminations and over $2 million in recovered wages for affected employees. The pattern was more widespread than anyone realized, suggesting a culture of corruption that extended far beyond individual bad actors. Each investigation follows the same methodology I pioneered: careful evidence gathering, detailed documentation, and strategic escalation through channels that can't be corrupted or suppressed. The anonymous reporting system receives increasing use as employees gain confidence in the process. Corporate leadership regularly consults me about best practices for fraud prevention and whistleblower protection. My case has become a template for handling similar situations, and I'm invited to speak at company leadership conferences about creating ethical workplace cultures. The most rewarding aspect of my new role is meeting with employees who have concerns about potential wrongdoing. I can guide them through proper reporting procedures, help them document evidence effectively, and assure them that retaliation will not be tolerated. No one has to face these battles alone anymore. Mr. Piers and Luke Donnelly both face criminal charges for fraud and conspiracy. Their trial is scheduled for next year, and prosecutors expect significant prison sentences given the scope of their crimes. Justice is being served not just through corporate discipline, but through the legal system as well. My colleagues have flourished with their restored wages and renewed faith in company leadership. Olivia bought a house for her family. Jake enrolled in graduate school. Carmen started her own small business using her savings. Their success validates every difficult moment of our shared struggle. In a world where corruption often hides behind authority and protection, sometimes the most powerful weapon is simply the truth, properly documented and courageously shared. When someone bets on your silence, you don't just speak. You make sure the truth echoes loud enough to be heard by everyone who needs to listen.